back to the Patriot Hour for Tuesday, April 23rd, 2019. I am Michael, your host. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for joining in. We know you're busy. We know your schedules are hectic. You're just probably getting home, depending on where you're at in the country or around the world, folks. We get it. You're either waking up, going to bed, getting off work, going into work, making breakfast or dinner, all kinds of things. But we try to bring you tidbits of information so you can connect the dots, so you can think for yourself. We always promote that here. Never take what we say to be 100% word, 100% truth. We're searching, going through tons of information, and in the intelligence communities, that is sometimes you sift through a lot of garbage, all right? If you're listening in, looking at emails, listening into phone calls, trying to find something in a foreign country, for example, you're going to listen to lots of bad information or just information that doesn't pertain to what you're looking at, all right? So therefore, you got to use your discernment and connect your own dots, folks. Only you know how that works best for you. Everyone's different. All right, what sits right in your stomach, your head, your gut. You know how that works. All right, we're going to jump into an article here. Again, if you're new, make sure you're subscribed. Take a look in the description box. All the links are down below. We appreciate all the sharing of our videos across all platforms while you can. The description down in the description box is also the links for donations and all the links that we'll typically go over in any video, okay? So here we're looking at one, Trump to purge corruption, the Spygate and Obama's role in everything that just went down for the last two and a half, 3 years, well before the election, all right? A good year before the election actually took place, and while Trump was a candidate, all right, citizen Trump. All right, let's jump into this article here. And this comes from Operation Disclosure. There we go. Operation Disclosure. So Trump to purge corruption, Spygate, and the Obama's role. Thanks to Spygate, Trump can purge corruption in one swoop. Source, the Epoch Times, all right, by Joshua Phillip. President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump arrive at Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland prior to boarding Air Force One for departure to Florida on April 18th of 2019. So the commentary here, the United States is witnessing history. A corrupt network of deep state career officials has been actively working against President Donald Trump in the interest of the American people. During the 2016 election, this network, alongside politicians, Hillary Clinton's campaign, and foreign government officials, they helped create the false narrative that Trump colluded with Russia. The goal was first to prevent him from becoming president, and after that failed, to undermine it as much as possible. These people have been the source of the creation of the fake Russia collusion narrative, unauthorized leaks, and calls for impeachment. It has sowed chaos, turned Americans against one another, and rallied a base of public support through disinformation and emotional agitation. This Spygate scandal involved the Obama administration using the powers of the spy agencies and corrupt legal systems to surveil a political opponent in an attempt to alter the outcome of an election. The spying on Trump campaign involved some of Obama's top officials, such as National Security Advisor Susan Rice and CIA Director, ex-Director John Brennan. Meanwhile, key players in the Clinton team and the Democratic National Committee were involved in creating disinformation and spreading this throughout a network in the U.S. government, and its legacy news outlets. Yet these attempts have failed so far. failed. Instead, they have gathered together all the corrupt elements in the U.S. intelligence agencies, the Justice Department, the State Department, city governments, the Senate, Congress, the judiciary, nonprofits, legacy news outlets, and private companies. Excuse me. So Spygate and the Trump-Russia conspiracy it helped expose this full corrupt network. And each person involved has gathered together in one place the major figures of corruption in the U.S. government. And the number of officials involved is not small. While key officials in the Obama administration played crucial roles in instigating and executing the investigations into the Trump campaign, officials across the government appear to have been involved. And then we got the whole foreign government connection. The force of the corrupt elements that Trump faced was not just the United States, as even foreign governments colluded in the Spygate scandal. Take, for example, the fact that the UK was sharing information it had gathered on Trump campaign with members of the U.S. Intelligence Committee as early as late 2015. It was then CIA Director Brennan who used unofficial intelligence from the UK to push the FBI to open an official investigation. It was also a former British intelligence official, Christopher Steele. If you guys remember, I did that video. I would say go check it out, called The Yellow Submarine. Great video. It was in connection with somebody over from Twitter that I work with. I'm having a brain fart at this minute, but so who became the main proponent of the false allegations? And what I mean by work with, I just mean that he wrote all this stuff up around Christopher Steele and John Brennan and put it into a nice format on YouTube, like 15 different tweets, and then got a hold of me and asked me to make a video over his 15 tweets, and I sure did. So check that out, Yellow Submarine. So who became the main proponent of the false allegations that Trump colluded with Russia? Claims that have now been definitely proven false by the investigation of the special counsel Robert Mueller. And it was Australia's highest ranking diplomat in the UK, Alexander Downer, who propelled the claim that the low-level Trump campaign advisor George Papadopoulos told him that he had knowledge about the fact that Russia had Hillary Clinton's emails, something Papadopoulos has denied himself. Notably, Downer had played a key role in the 2006 to approve a $25 million donation by Australia to the Clinton Foundation, which is one of the largest in the foundation's history. Yet the conspiracy that was acted out has in effect gathered all these corrupt individuals who dared to rig an election, tarnish a presidency, and mislead a nation, and has placed them together in a single scandal to be exposed at once. What was Obama's role in the Trump investigations? So here's another little story. Then President Barack Obama sits alongside then Vice President Joe Biden at Joint Base Myers Henderson Hall in Arlington, Virginia on January 4th of 2017. So commentary. Now that the special counsel Robert Mueller's report has been published, we have a definite answer to the question of whether President Donald Trump colluded with Russia. There are many questions that remain, however, about the origins of the investigation into Trump. For example, why did the FBI investigate a presidential candidate using false information paid for by the opposing political campaign? I'll jump back into this here in a minute. Folks, what we're talking about is anytime there's an investigation by the FBI or even down to your local level police, there's like a page one or a box one of the first page, which is how it started. So whether or not like a bank fraud, credit card, something happened, there's always that initial call, whether it's a lady herself that maybe had her credit card messed with, she would call the local police. I got to file a police report on my credit card being stolen. Okay, ma'am, what happened? Well, I got my statement. And I mean, however that happened, however this whole investigation started for that lady's credit card would come back to the authorization, the very first call, how it started. And that's what we don't know about the Trump-Russia collusion. Who's the one that started it? Who brought over this? Who initiated? And what does it say they used? What was the reason? Was it that dossier? Most of these people involved have said, no, that wasn't the only thing we had and went off of. But it looks like it was, and that we know that's not been verified. Lots of issues being created here now for these people. So again, there are many questions that remain, however, about the origins, all right, of the investigation into Trump. For example, why did the FBI investigate a presidential candidate using false information paid for by an opposing political campaign? Because that was withheld from the judges. The judges didn't know these key little things here, that it was paid for by the opposing, or if they did, that even makes them complicit. And why was the British government spying on members of the Trump campaign and passing this information on as an unofficial intelligence to the CIA director at the time, John Brennan, who then used that information to push the FBI director James Comey to open an investigation into Trump? But perhaps the most significant yet largely unexplored question is this: what was President Barack Obama's involvement in these investigations? We know that several senior members of the Obama cabinet either played an active role in the investigations, were spying on the Trump campaign, or received the false information that he colluded with Russia. Obama's Secretary of State John Kerry, for example, had been made aware of the false information contained in the so-called Steele dossier. We know as much from an op-ed published by former Obama State Department official Jonathan Weiner, who said he had received the information from Christopher Steele and had passed it on to high-ranking official Victoria Nuland, who felt that the Secretary of State needed to be made aware of this material. Obama himself had also been given a summary of the Steele dossier, which was attached to an intelligence report by CIA Director John Brennan, FBI Director James Comey, and DNI James Clapper in January of 2017. It is possible Obama might have received information contained in the Steele dossier from Brennan as early as August of 2016. Obama's National Security Advisor Susan Rice, along with his ambassador to the UN, Samantha Power, had made hundreds of unmasking requests for identities of members of the Trump campaign in intelligence reports. Power would later claim that someone else in Obama administration had made the request in her name. Then there was an Oval Office meeting between Obama, Rice, FBI Director James Comey, and Deputy and Attorney General Sally Yates on January 5th of 17. The meeting was recollected by Rice in an unusual email she addressed to herself, sent 15 days after the meeting on January 20th of 2017, the day of Trump's inauguration. The email is marked top secret, but parts of it have since been declassified. In the email, Rice said the president stressed that he is not asking about initiating or instructing anything from a law enforcement perspective. He reiterated that our law enforcement team needs to proceed as it normally would by the book. This raises the question of why Obama felt it was necessary to say those things, and why Rice felt it was necessary to recollect these statements to herself in an email on the day she was leaving the White House. Rice's email also states that Obama told the officials to be mindful to ascertain if there is any reason that we cannot share information fully as it relates to Russia with the incoming Trump administration. Does this mean that potentially vital national security information was withheld from the Trump transition team as it relates to Russia over the false Russia collusion allegations? Senator Chuck Grassley, a Republican out of Iowa, then chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and Senator Lindsey Graham, Republican from South Carolina, felt compelled to question Rice in a February 8th, 2018 letter about the email, asking her, among other things, did President Obama ask, initiate, or instruct anything from any other perspective relating to the FBI's investigation? Rice's lawyer would respond to the letter later that month saying she sent herself the email upon the advice of the White House counsel's office. These are serious questions that deserve to be investigated. For over 2 years, the American public has been sold a fake narrative that Trump colluded with Russia to manipulate the 2016 presidential election in his favor. Getting to the bottom of these investigations, of how they were started, what the exact actions were by officials entrusted with power, including the former president, and whether any of them were politically motivated, is key to restoring public trust in our institutions. See, everyone was worried about the 2016 election being swayed or somehow used. Well, we know the 2018 midterms were by the fake Russia narrative. That's what we know was manipulated. That what we know that helped the left having all this narrative fake, and that swayed it. So there's your election rigging of sorts by a fake narrative. Okay, so and that was it for that article. And we're about the 16-minute mark, so we go ahead and shut this one down. Folks, again, we've been following this along. We know this is a narrative. Things have now flipped. Things that are coming out now, little by little, are just proving the point back to these people. They have a lot of answering. Some of these people, heads are going to spin. This is what we've been waiting for. About time, right? About time. We're all ready. How awesome. We're going to be here bringing it along, following it along, bringing you articles like this. Again, always think for yourself, connect all your own dots, and keep pressing forward. Again, I'm Michael. This is a Patriot Hour. God bless, Godspeed each and every one of you worldwide. We'll see you back here on the next Patriot Hour. Again, thanks for all donations, sharing the video, and give a thumbs up. It helps beat the algorithms, and we appreciate it. Have a great one.